streaming.
Because yeah, Facebook is really quick now in the stream. So welcome. Well, let me help if I let people in. Right.
Oh,
So got,
I see an old friend. That's wonderful.
all right. So, all right. Welcome everybody to a Free Thinkers Corner and Sisters in Crime presents Mystery Making. This is a great interactive presentation where you, the audience, gets to give suggestions and comments and help build the story. One thing I would like to ask is if you would like to turn your videos on, that's fine, but if you could keep your microphones off, that keeps down the confusion and people popping up on the screen um, accidentally, because we're also doing Facebook Live here. So if you do have a suggestion, so when our panel does ask for suggestions, throw it down in the chat box there. They will see it. I'll see it as well. Everybody over at Facebook Live, use the comment section there and I'll relay your suggestions or comments to our panel. And getting to our panel now, we have, like I said, 4 mystery writers from the Sisters in Crime New England organization. We have Jolene Grace, we have Esley Manning, we have Frances McNamara, and we have Sharon Yang. All their books, they're going to introduce themselves a little bit, tell you about their books. Their books will be available too on bookshop.org. We may have a few of them in the store as well. You could also order them. And that's it for me. Sharon,
Okay,
I'll let you go ahead and take it.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. This is a really fun panel to do and you get to be involved. Sisters in Crime is a fantastic organization that is wonderful support for readers and writers of mysteries, not committing crimes, I hope, but you never know. And we have all kinds of panels like this. There are workshops, there are all kinds of ways to get support from other writers, to learn about writing and publishing and promotion of your writing. So if you don't belong, it's, you're welcome. We'd love to have you join Sisters in Crime National and then our local branch, Sisters in Crime New England. And as I said, we're bringing you the mystery making panel. Now, this panel is audience participation. We're going to throw out a couple of a few categories, more than a couple, and we'll get suggestions from you, which we're asking you to either put in chat or put on Facebook Live, so Chris can get it to me. And we're going to work together to create a mystery, and this is kind of fun because it gives you a chance to see how mystery writers, respond to all kinds of inspirations and sources and have to think quick and fast on their feet to resolve all kinds of conflicts and pull together an exciting story for you. So I'd like to introduce or let our panelists introduce themselves. I will start with Jolene. Jolene Grace, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Sharon. First, I want to say thank you to Chris for hosting this event. It's very nice when I get together with some of my fellow sisters in crime. I wrote Going Dark. I think you can see it. It's a spy thriller. It's my debut novel, and it talks about my main character in the series, Gabriel Jets. He is a CIA agent, and he gets dragged in a very complicated case and finds a woman that he really cares about, but he can't be with. Anyway, I hope you purchase the book. You can buy it anywhere books are sold. And that's it from me.
Great, thanks, Jolene. Okay, next I'm going to introduce Esley Manning. Do you want to take it away, Sandy?
Yeah, hi. Well, I also write spy thrillers. My debut novel, Trojan Horse, has as its hero. I'll put up so you can see it a little bit more. A Russian Jewish immigrant to the United States working for American intelligence, and who winds up betrayed by his own agency, and all that happens thereafter. That came out last October. And the sequel, which is Nerve Attack, comes out in September, and it's about the questions of loyalty and to what kind of betrayals you can forgive.
Cool.
I want to thank you for Chris, for having this. I'm a member of Sisters in Crime, and it's a great organization. If you're interested in writing and mysteries, join us.
Thank you. Thanks, Cindy. Francis, you want to go next?
Okay, I'm Frances McNamara. I write historical mysteries. From a girl from Boston goes to University of Chicago in 1893 when it's first opening, and becomes one of the first graduate students. And she's thrilled because they allow women graduate students. She's fictional. She works with a fictional police detective, but they meet real historical characters. So the first book is set in 1893, and it's the Columbian Exposition. She meets Ida B. Wells. She goes to Hull House, meets Jane Addams, and so forth. The most recent book is Death on the Home Front, set in the spring of 1917, when we were just getting into the war. At this point, she has a daughter who's about to get married, and her best friend is found killed, and she begs her mother to help find who had really done it. And you learn what's going on in Chicago, a lot of anti-German things going on, and all sorts of stuff in Chicago at that time. I also write, the next one is actually going to be in the pandemic in 1918.
Wow.
And believe it or not, I had started that before our pandemic. And I have written a book that isn't published yet that's set in 1919 when they had the molasses flood in Chicago.
Oh,
I mean, in Boston, what's the North End. So I'm switching to Boston for a different series.
excellent. Well, I'm Sharon Yang, or I write by Sharon Healy Yang. And if we have the two contemporary spy masters, I'm a little bit more in Frances's league, where she's writing at the beginning of the 20th century, and my writing takes place mid-century. I'm kind of a film noir kind of fan. So I have Bait and Switch and Letter from a Dead Man. And I have coming out at the end of August, yay, Always Play the Dark Horse. And my novels, as I said, they're set in the 40s. The first one starts at 43, and this one I'm releasing now is 46. We have an actress starting on the stage, and she ends up being a radio actress. And this poor girl, she has worse luck than Jessica Fletcher's best friend in Cabot Cove. She's always running into, if it's not Nazi fifth columnist, stolen jade, murder, more Nazi fifth columnists, stolen racehorses, all kinds of things. But I like to give it that sort of noir ambiance, the wit and humor of the time, and that sassy, smart talking gal heroine in my Jessica Minton and her sister, Liz. So that's it for us as writers. Shall we take it away, guys? Should we start the ball rolling?
Let's do this.
Okay, let's go. All right, I thought we would start for first category, names. Does that sound good to everybody? Kind of get the basic characters set up. So what I'm going to do is, we have four categories: names, method of murder, location, and motive. And we'll set up one. I'll throw out names, and you will, you, the audience, will come up with some names that you think would be really interesting characters that we could work into our stories. And then we will take the names, and we'll try to figure out who these people are and what they could do and what makes them interesting and what kind of messes could they get into. And we'll do something similar with the other categories. So right now, I want all of you guys out there to think about really cool, neat, evocative, suggestive names for characters, something that will inspire us to start weaving a story. So go to it. And you can put it in chat. You can just type it in chat, or you can send word through Chris Upton on Facebook, and we'll get that. So I will give you, it's 7:09 on my, I'll say about I think 2 minutes is okay, right, guys? Yeah, okay, so I'll give you about 2 minutes to come up with some.
So I don't know how you guys are with names, but I'm terrible. I choose names and then my editor tells me, no, you've got 3 names that begin with L.
Oh,
Or I choose
Yeah.
the name and then I forget it halfway through the book.
or yeah, it becomes something else. Yeah, yeah,
I make charts. It's just because I have so many characters. I actually, to make sure I don't use the
Yeah.
same letter too much.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, sometimes I just kind of, there are certain first and last names that I like, and I put them together because that seems, I have lists of last names that I like. So.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. I think I'm a little too anal. I couldn't think of which end for a minute, but
There's
also,
a website you can go to. It's like last name generator or something like
Oh.
that. And
I didn't know about that.
yeah,
I can send you the link later to it because
that would help.
I hate coming up with names.
You know,
So I
And some people are really good at it, but I've never been really
yeah.
good at that.
Well, the internet is just a marvelous resource because most of my novels take place in with international characters. So
Yeah.
I go in
Yeah.
it's in Germany, so I said, what are the common German last names? And
Yeah.
then it's a little bit of a eeny, meeny, miny, mo, but
Yeah.
so that website I'm telling you guys about, you can actually specify it by country as well.
Oh,
So
very
Yeah.
good.
yeah, it can give you all kinds of little things that are very useful, at least to jog your imagination if you're not.
And then if you have a series, you're sort of stuck with the names. So
Yeah, that's right.
and that impacts what other people's names are. So I actually started with Emily Cabot because that was sort of a New England Yankee kind of name, and she's a New England Yankee girl. But then I gave the police guy Whitbread, and some of my most recent writing group is like, what is he, white bread or something?
I like the name. I think it's cute.
Well, sometimes too, when I'm reading other people's novel, like I like to read Victorian novels. So, some of the names I can pull out of there, I love. But sometimes I have puns. Like I had a character in Letter from a Dead Man who was an FBI agent, and he made me think of David Duchovny from X-Files. So he seemed like a Jeff. And then I decided his last name was going to be Hooley, which, it's an Irish name, Holley, but the Chinese word for fox is Huli. So I thought it would be a nice little pun.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so you know,
Chinese.
yeah, little things that come up like that. Yeah.
So we have a couple who raised their hands. I did put out, if everybody down at the bottom, if you scroll down to the bottom, use your mouse or whatever, down on the bottom, you see a banner on the bottom where you have your mute, your video participants, things like that. It says chat. If you click on that, the sidebar will appear if you don't know where it is. But do you want me to just go ahead and have them come up and
Sure, why
give
not?
a suggestion or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Tell us some.
We'll go ahead and do that then. Let me bring those two up. All right, so Hiba Omar and Marie Coles, go ahead and turn your mics on and your video on here, and you can give your suggestions.
I prefer not to put my video on, but the chat function is actually disabled.
Right, the chat's disabled. We can't put anything in.
Oh, really? Oh, chat disabled. Yeah.
Enable it.
Oops.
I will figure out how to fix that because
I thought all in my chat was disabled. Like you don't want to type tonight. So
Oh well, Chris is in charge. You can give us. You can unmute yourself and give us some names.
yes, give it. If you have a name, try.
Yeah.
Cassandra.
Oh,
Oh,
Cassandra.
that's a good one.
Cassandra is in one of my main characters in my new novel that I'm writing right now.
Oh, well, see, there we go.
Isn't she the one who prophesies the future and
but no one would believe
everything bad that's going to happen? Nobody listens
Yeah.
to it.
So should we go with that? Or do you want to take
That's
off
one, but we need more. We need
We need
more.
more names.
Okay.
Do we have a last name for Cassandra?
Yeah.
Montague. I don't know.
No,
I like Montague.
just keep her away from the Capulets. That's all.
People.
Did we hear somebody say something?
Anyone?
need you. We can't do this without you.
Elliot Page.
Oh, I like that too.
Was that Elliot Page?
Yeah, Elliot. Is it 2 L's in Elliot? Does it matter? Okay. Do you want me to write some of the name up in chat too? If I can. Can I write anything in chat? No.
Oh, Chris should be able to write.
We can.
Oh, yeah, it says chat disabled. Yeah.
Oh, well.
I know 2 Jones up there. I think one of my Jones should give us a name.
All right, the chat is now operational.
Okay, I think I fixed it.
Okay.
There we go.
There it is.
Is it working now?
Yep.
Yes.
These are names that I've seen so far.
That's where this never
Alright,
happened to me
there we
before.
go.
What?
Herman Trude.
Herman
What kind of a
Trude.
name is that?
Herman what? Herman.
Herman.
Trude. Oh, that's a German name. Is that a woman's
Yeah.
name?
Herman Trude could be like the name of a code name or a name of
Oh,
society or something thereafter.
Jeffrey Houndsmith.
Houndsmith.
Yeah, we could use our readers' names here if we need to.
Jeffrey.
I've been watching a lot of
I think
Todd
we go
Brand.
British here with an Ermintrude who's doing something in the background there.
We've got a Basil up there too.
A Basil?
Yeah, I see
Yeah,
a Basil.
Basil's comes after Ermintrude.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That sounds sort of British too.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're in an Agatha Christie.
I know.
Now, is Elliot Page a female or a male?
I think of Elliot as a man's name, but I think
Liza Frost.
what? Did you guys say somebody else?
There's another one.
Oh, that's another one.
Eliza Frost.
That's a
Oh,
good
I
one.
like that.
We've got Elliot there, Basil, Jeffrey, Ermintrude.
Hans Bergstrom.
Hansberg. I like that.
Okay, we may be in a we got more.
Cleo.
Who here is Scandinavian? So.
Jameson.
Oh,
And
Leo James.
That sounds like a whiskey heiress to me.
Oh, sounds good. Okay.
That's good. I like that one. Whiskey. Yeah, right, Jameson.
Well, should we try to weave something with our characters' names now? Do you want to?
Well, let's figure out who they are.
Yes.
I think
Okay.
we've got enough.
So I have Cassandra Montague, Elliot Page, Ermintrude, Jeffrey Houndsmith, Basil, Eliza Frost, Hans Bergstrom, and Cleo Jameson.
Okay, so you said Cleo was a whiskey heiress?
That would be great. I'm good on that.
Well, Jameson.
Yeah.
I know. Very Irish. How about Basil and Eliza Frost?
Oh, okay. Yes.
Oh, you mean making a couple?
Yeah,
Why not?
that sounds good.
And Jeffrey Houndsmith, maybe he's the Lord of the Manor thing,
Okay.
the guy whose house they're at.
We need a body, and we need a villain, and we need a protagonist.
Okay.
Good point.
Whom would you like to kill?
Hans Bergstrom.
Okay, he will be the victim. And
Hans is a professor.
okay.
Okay, I like
Okay,
it.
we can have him a professor. I always wanted to kill my professors.
There you go.
Hey.
what?
That's what you can do when you're a mystery writer.
I
I think Cassandra should be a protagonist, don't you think?
like it.
Such
Yeah.
a beautiful name.
And it would make sense. The one who's trying to reveal the murderer, she makes predictions about what's going to happen, or she knows what's going to happen. She has ideas, and no one listens to her, so it ties
Yeah,
back.
no one listens to him.
Oh, then Hans Bergstrom could be a professor of mythology or archaeology, And so there could be a connection between her name and, his knowledge of Greek mythology.
Sounds good.
What
Okay.
if Cleo, the whiskey Harris, had like this very lavish party in one of the 1920 beautiful castles that are still left up in like the New York area, that
Yeah.
like the oil
Yeah.
Okay.
people used to have, and then we have almost like Agatha Christie, where
Yeah.
everybody is a
Suspect or a possible victim.
or a next possible victim. So we have Hans gets killed in Cleo's castle at a dinner party.
I think that we still have to do, yeah. Okay, we need to figure out who the other people are, though.
Ermentrude can be the housekeeper.
Yes, that sounds like a housekeeper's name. Would she be a kind of Mrs. Danvers type?
Sounds good to me.
I think making
Then
her.
we've got Elliot Page. He's some young guy. Maybe he's a student or something.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's a student of. So could this, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Could Cassandra and Elliot be students of Hans Bergstrom?
Sounds good.
Why
Okay.
not? Jeffrey, who is Jeffrey?
Houndsmith.
Houndsmith.
How about he's visiting from England, and he comes off as he's very wealthy and, as you said, Lord of the Manor, but he's really broke.
Uh-huh. Okay, he's a scam artist, like.
Yeah.
Maybe he's coming on to Cleo, who's the one who really has the money.
That's yes. I mean, he does. I would say he does have the title, but
Right.
the money's all very good. What am I saying? Very good. Aren't you wonderful, Sharon?
We've got one location, but we need some methods and motive and more locations.
Well, what if Jeffrey is going after Cleo for her money, but he really has an affair with Eliza, and Eliza killed Ermentrude because she resembles Cleo?
Well, I thought Hans was the victim.
Oh, okay.
All right, we can have more than one.
Well, considering I write thrillers, there's bodies piling up all over the place.
Or maybe
Well, we still haven't gone to motive and method of murder, so that could,
Do we need
that
any
could
more
impact
characters?
whether it's really a thriller or something else.
Well, do you want to move to motive now, because that seems very closely tied in
Motive.
the
All
characters.
right, motive, you guys. Give us motive. Falling off a ledge rocky wall outside ballroom where the dancing had been wild.
Okay, there's a method. Okay, falling off.
Method. Let's do
She's
method. I love
jumping
the
ahead of us.
Danced off the edge.
Well, that's danced off the edge. We need a few more options.
Pushed, killed for what he knew, a secret. That's good too.
Yeah.
I think we need at least.
Oh no, that's a motive. Where
Poison.
method,
I like poison.
method of murder or motive? Method of murder.
We're doing method, aren't we?
I
Method.
guess we are now.
Okay, let's do method.
Poison whiskey.
Punch bowl poisoning, of course.
I like the whiskey since we've got the Jameson
Poison
thing going.
whiskey, right? Yeah.
Didn't someone say it was a Greek professor or professor of Greek mythology?
Yeah.
What about some sort of ancient Greek weapon from like the archives of the taken out of like the archives of the university that he worked at?
You know what it could be?
Cool.
That's related to what you're saying. Either he's bringing something to Cleo's mansion, or she has something at her mansion that is some artifact or weapon. That's a weapon, as you said.
Yeah, like an axe or something like that.
Yeah.
Axe
That's
from,
how-
Troy.
Coming to the party to appraise it, maybe?
yes.
She's gonna
Cleo has it and he wants it.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. Or maybe how about he's attacked by a killer raccoon?
And the raccoon is
I like dancing off the edge.
Killer trained raccoon.
Somebody is writing that it's a toga party. What if they have like the mask, like the Venetian masks, and
Oh,
the person who gets killed first wasn't the intended victim, but because they can't really see who it is,
yeah.
so we have like
They trade masks
Yeah,
for
that's
fun.
good.
Yeah.
Wrong victim.
Would you put this under method, or this would be part of method, right?
Yeah, the fact that it was in a Venetian mask and whether they got poisoned or danced off the side, got pushed off the side, it was the wrong.
I heard somebody said toga party.
Maybe they
Did
were
you
really
say-
going after
Did
basil.
you say Venetian or Phoenician?
I said Venetian, but either way,
Okay.
Yeah, she said Venetian because so often that they have the masks in the mask parties.
yeah.
Okay. So I think that would be good. How what's going on? This goes to the location. She invites them for the weekend, but there's a big, what do you call it? Masquerade party,
Yeah.
a ball, and that's where they're masked.
That's possible. It could also be a wedding. And someone's upset about the wedding, couldn't it?
Okay.
So actually for methods, we've got dancing off the edge,
Yeah.
poisoned whiskey, an ancient Greek weapon like an axe or something, attacked by a.
Did you read that, Marie Carl?
We've got
I'm with her. I'm with Ermengarde, or whatever the hell her
the
name is.
housekeeper is sick of all the crazy parties she has to deal with, and she is knocking off all the obnoxious rich people.
I can buy that. Jeff Bezos is
Oh,
next.
poisoned and fell off. That's a good one too.
What is it?
Poisoned and fell off.
Oh,
So
okay.
combining two of the methods. That's a possibility.
Okay.
Winnings are hard right now. All right. Well, we've got some methods there. You want to move
Okay.
on to?
Are we moving to motives?
I think we should. Definitely we have location down. It seems to be this. You guys said New York, maybe upstate New York.
Upstate New York, big old castle-y type place.
Yeah.
It's, but it's set. The time period is set now.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Today, but it, maybe she got it from her father. Had a big whiskey.
Yeah.
Fortune.
Yep. The Jameson fortune.
Yeah.
Okay, motives. So
Okay.
jealousy. Somebody had put in jealousy before. Former student didn't like his grades from the professor and even more hated his condescension. Former student gets revenge.
That better not be my student.
Spoken like a teacher, right?
It's my
What
friend.
if the poison was on the mask? Poison
Oh,
on,
they're both my friends.
poison on mask.
I put poison on the mask. If they do a mask thing, but
All right. So it seems as if we had two murders, right? We had Hans Bergstrom, and who else did you guys have? Somebody else you had murdered.
well, I think
The housekeeper.
Rude.
I'd like Ermentrude for a possible culprit.
Okay.
I think we need some more motives. I mean, there's lots
Yeah.
of good motives. I mean, what about this? Maybe that fancy axe was a fake.
Or maybe Jeffrey thought that Hans was competing for the love of Cleo.
Yeah. Yes, that goes in with the jealousy.
Or maybe Hans was and Eliza had actually worked for the same intelligence agency and were double agents, and that he recognizes her and she is afraid he's going to blow her cover.
Okay, well, it seems like, so we've got to decide which direction we're going to go in here. It sounds like we're either going with the Agatha Christie Old House Murder, or the spy novel where, well, you could have it sort of.
You can have some spies that is mixed in the house party.
Well, it could start off that we think it's just a plain Agatha Christie house murder, but then we find there's more going on. Maybe the motive changes. So, Sandy, you were saying that Hans thought who
Hans and Eliza, who we forgot about, Eliza Frost, were both, or Hans and Ermentrude. I actually like the idea of the housekeeper being a secret spy, and then she's retired to be a housekeeper and change her life. And he sees her, and she knows that he could expose who she really was.
Okay.
What if the axe is actually stolen and Cassandra Monteith is like an FBI agent and they're investigating who stole it, so they're kind of following the trail? And
So they're no longer students.
Cassandra.
oh, were they students? I thought we went like, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, they were students probably of Hans.
Well,
then who is our main character then? I thought Cassandra Monteith was our main character.
Yeah.
Yes, she is. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she could be disguised as a student because she's investigating
Yeah.
the stolen antique of the axe.
or
Hey, you like a nice confusing plot. I like those old.
Read my notes.
or she could be the FBI. She could be an FBI agent from the Counterintelligence Bureau that is investigating Hans as a spy.
Okay, hold on. All right, so Ermentrude was a spy, and Hans was a spy, and Hans recognizes Ermentrude, who has retired to the quiet life of housekeeping in a fancy schmancy mansion on the Hudson. She doesn't want her cover to be blown. So, and maybe he blackmails her, or he threatens her. He's definitely going to blow her cover. It's not that she's just afraid of it. He threatens her.
Okay, that sounds good.
Maybe he threatens her to help him steal something from
I think having him threatening her, getting her to steal the axe.
Yeah.
And then also as a separate subplot, you have Jeffrey is worried that Hans is coming on to
Leo.
the whiskey heiress.
Yeah.
And, that's a subplot.
Okay.
Now, is Hans spying for the German government or Ermentrude spying for which?
It's in the past. Maybe they were past East Germans or something like that.
Yeah, it could be. That would be 50 years. They'd be pretty old.
Too long ago.
Well, we could move the date of our story back a little bit. It doesn't have to be 2021. It could be in the 2000s. It could be 20 years ago.
How about XKGB?
XKGB, yeah, that'd be good.
KGB,
And KGB goes back to the 80s and early 90s.
Now KGB
Yeah,
ends
that's not as far
early
back
in the
as-
90s. It's now FSB.
Yeah.
Who is FSB? Ermentrude or Hans or both?
Both.
Both of them. At least she got out of it and retired, so she doesn't want to be turned up.
They are unretired FSB agents.
Did you say?
I still like the idea of Cassandra's investigating stolen antiquities, and what's it has the axe, and Hans is gonna get the axe. Hans had revealed the true provenance of an artifact. Hans knew that that it really came from some museum in Greece.
Okay, you should see where I have arrows everywhere.
Hey, complication is good. All right, so is there anything else we need? So the setting is we're in upstate New York in this big old castle, and it belongs to this woman, Cleo Jameson, who's a whiskey heiress, and it's come down through her family.
Yeah.
And she has a professor coming because she's got this Greek axe that she got from her grandfather too.
Yeah.
And she wants him to authenticate it. And he brings his two students, Cassandra and Elliot Page.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Jeffrey Houndsmith is trying to wine and dine her because he doesn't really have any money, and he
Yep.
yours.
What are we doing with Basil and Eliza Frost?
Yeah, Basil and Eliza.
Maybe
Jeffrey
they're the
got
ones.
a thing going with Eliza. So he got-
Right, right.
Okay.
And so Basil then would have, wait a minute, who's having the affair with Eliza, Hans or Jeffrey?
Jeffrey.
Jeffrey, okay,
But he's actually after Cleo, but he's having an affair with
okay.
Eliza.
maybe Hans sees something and
Meanwhile, Basil is having an affair with Elliot.
yeah, that's good. That's good. Yep, yep.
Maybe Basil is the one who stole the real axe and switched it for the fake one that Hans is there to appraise.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Basil's stole. So the real axe was in a German museum, was in a Greek
Oh.
museum, and Hans, the victim, knew that. And so when he sees it, he's going to know. And actually, Basil was the one who stole it from the museum or replaced it with another thing.
Yeah, maybe he is an art.
Yeah, and Cassandra, meanwhile, through all this maze, is trying to track down who's got the real axe and who stole it.
Well, I thought she was a FBI counterintelligence person, and she was trying to track down former FSB agents in the United States.
Okay, I guess we've got two counter narratives. One that she's after the axe, the other is that she's tracking down, what's the word I want?
Or maybe she
Oh,
tackles the axe investigation as like the stick and the carrot situation, so she can, flush the real spies.
Ah, that's
Could you explain that again,
That was
Jolene, a little bit?
complicated. I
Trying
like
to
it.
figure something else out and get all of it. So what is Cassandra doing then?
She's gonna use the axe to flush the real FSB agents,
Okay.
because the two agents are, after the axe. Maybe even the Russians had the axe and
Maybe
they
because
lost it.
the axe has some sort of mythical properties that the Russians wanted for symbolic purposes, and so the Russians are desperately trying to get it back.
Okay, so everybody's after this axe. That's interesting. Oh my goodness. Big
Because
fun
the
discovery.
Russians are after the axe.
Well, so does that shift Ermentrude and, oh, well, that might be Hans being there if he's still an agent. That would be one of the reasons he's checking this out. So he's saying, oh, I'm doing this for the university museum, but he's really going to find a way to send it back to Mother Russia.
I mean,
Right.
spies usually are,
Yeah.
professors,
Uh-huh,
teachers, they take on not common jobs, but they take jobs that you wouldn't necessarily think of them as being spies. So it will make sense
Yeah.
that that's his cover. And he is there to look at the axe, and he will know it very well because his government had raided Hitler's,
Yeah.
stoves, whatnot. They've owned the axe for so many years, but trying to,
Hitler was getting in on this somehow.
well, I mean, Hitler, robbed all treasures
yeah, right.
during World War II, so it would make,
So maybe Basil stole it and maybe he sold it to Cleo, but Cleo's interested in making a name for herself, giving it to him. So she has a big party. She has a big
Yeah.
masquerade party. And Hans gets poisoned in the whiskey and dances off the edge.
That sounds good.
Basil and Eliza are our comic reliefs.
Does he take anybody with him when he dances off the edge?
maybe he will dance with Cassandra and whisper in her ear some kind of secret and gives her just a piece of whatever. Like he's trying to
uh-huh.
warn her there that Ermentrude is not
Yeah.
who she tells, and he's suspecting that she killed him, when in fact will be Joffrey later on.
Okay.
So that way Cassandra, we have like the red herring, and she can go after the wrong person, the wrong
No,
character. for a
let's
while.
kill off one or two more, and who actually did it?
So you could kill off
Think Jeffrey did it
Ermentrude,
or Ermentrude?
just when we think Ermentrude is the one who did it and everything's all set, then she gets killed off because there's something more going on. Maybe she's going to well, wait a minute.
Maybe
what-
we can have, maybe
Wrong here.
Lisa will kill.
Everyone is leaning over, watching him fall over the cliff. He could be whispering in the wrong ear. He's whispering because
Okay.
they were taking a selfie and he was poisoned and fell off.
Well,
All right. How about Basil kills Ermentrude because he thinks she's trying to seduce Elliot.
Well, then who actually killed Hans?
That was Ermentrude. Ermentrude kills Hans,
well,
and
somebody
then
thought
Basil
Jeffrey
kills
did it.
Ermentrude.
Somebody
You
thought
can have
Jeffrey
multiple
did.
murders.
Oh yeah.
Someone
What
thought
did you-
Jeffrey killed Hans.
I said Jeffrey kills Hans because he wanted to get with Cleo, and he always suspected Hans was, had a better chance with Cleo, not realizing that Hans was actually after the axe and a FSB
Oh,
undercover
yeah.
agent.
Okay, so we think we give all the red herrings, the pointers towards Ermentrude with just a
And the
couple of
spy-
little nudges in Jeffrey's direction, but we make them a little heavier towards Ermentrude. And then we kill her off just when the readers start getting smug.
Yeah.
Right.
Just when you
Exactly.
reveal all the spy stuff and then she's dead. Yeah. How does she die?
That's my
How
friend
does she die?
Joni
What's the
right
effort?
there.
How are we going
Oh,
to
somebody
kill
has to
her?
get killed by
Yeah.
the axe. Doesn't somebody have to get killed by the axe?
Yes, yes.
That could be Ermentrude.
Ermentrude gets killed by the axe. Yeah.
Yeah.
What if we leave the axe for the very end? Like one of the characters will attack Cassandra with the axe. Maybe even Basil attacks her because she knows the truth that it is the fake axe, and Basil will get exposed.
Well, the axe could disappear and well, Ermentrude could be poisoned too then.
Or somebody suggested the dancing and being pushed off the edge. I don't know if a
I
maid.
thought that was Hans. How's
Yeah,
Hans?
Hans,
I
they're
thought
at
Hans
the
was
party,
died
he's poisoned and he
poison.
dances off the edge.
Oh, okay. I thought he had a poison on his mask, and that's how he died.
I didn't get the poison in the mask.
Yeah, somebody put poison in the mask.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah,
That was a good one. I like
That's a
that one.
good one. Well, we could put poison in his mask. That might be better.
That would
Yeah.
take a lot of research.
That's a very Russian thing too.
Okay,
Oh, well, that's a good point. That's a good point.
how about then
But
somebody
it
else?
actually was Jeffrey who did it, not a Russian.
So Jeffrey poisons Hans's mask because he thinks Hans is competition for Cleo.
Okay.
Okay.
Although
No,
Lisa
no.
knows that Hans is a Russian agent and he wants to cast the suspicion on Russian, so he uses a common Russian. He uses Novichok.
What's that?
It's a nerve poison.
Okay. So
Yeah.
Jeffrey
I wanted to
uses
kill
that.
somebody in my new book.
Who uses it? You mean Jeffrey uses it to kill Hans?
Yes, because he's trying to get which he got, and he
He
got it
knows
from
something about
Ermentrude.
the spy thing, but that's
Yeah,
not.
and then he got it from Ermentrude, so we all think it's Ermentrude, but she didn't realize. And then Ermentrude thinks that it's that knows that Jeffrey did it. So and then he has to kill her before she reveals that it's really him.
Okay.
You just changed the story completely.
Yeah, you did because you were going to have her killed by Basil, but now she's gonna be
Yeah,
killed by
well,
the guy. That's all right.
Basil can live happily ever after with Elliot.
Wait a minute. Who? Basil lives happy? What happens to his wife?
She realizes that their marriage was a sham and goes off at the
Maybe she
end.
can marry, no, she can't marry
She
Jeffrey.
was having a little affair with Jeffrey anyways on the
Well,
side.
Jeffrey is,
But Cleo really wants
Wait, Eliza and Cleo could get together. We're going to be very modern.
no. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. That's two. Although actually these stories are supposed to be two. I like it though. I like the way we got the spies in. I never would have thought of the
Yeah.
spies.
yeah.
That's not what I do with my books.
So how will Cassandra pull this all together, do you think? Because I think, again, we mentioned she's the kind of person that she picks up or she predicts things, not because she's psychic, or although you could you could bring that in if you wanted to.
But she's supposed to be a secret agent too, right? You guys
Yeah.
said she's exposing these FSB people.
Yeah, but nobody wants to believe her.
So I think Cassandra, what we were talking in the beginning is that she's a counter-terrorist special agent. So she is actually the one who wants to apprehend double agents or anybody who is trying to breach national security or whatnot. But maybe she's blind and has this psychic visions, and then Elliot is there to be her eyes and ears and kind of guide her. So we actually have a character with disabilities, which I feel like are very underrepresented in novels.
That's because her name is Cassandra. That's quite an idea. I like it. Cassandra's blind. Elliot is her guide, and she's the one who figures it out. And she has some predictions that nobody believes.
Yeah, or because being blind, she has more developed senses than the rest of us.
Hear
or the rest of the
something.
characters.
Maybe she's actually dancing with the guy when his mask gets to him and he goes over the side.
Here's something we have to keep in mind too. We probably want to make this occur only like over a night, once because they should call the police. If somebody dances.
All right, we've got there's a terrible storm that comes up. There's a terrible storm that comes up right after Hans dies and cuts off all the electricity.
Okay, and washes out the road so they can't
washes the road out. We get those kinds of storms these days.
Okay.
Someone storms up early and is horrified at the murders when she reads about them in the paper the next morning. A big snowstorm, somebody suggested.
That could do.
Isn't Ermentrude the housekeeper? If she gets killed, who's going to clean up the mess after the body?
I think that's my student or former student. No, I don't know. No, it isn't. I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Was that? Who was that? Yeah, that was my former student, Joan. She was like that in class. It always made things interesting and fun.
Another thing I'm always really bad at is a title.
Okay.
I am terrible at thinking of the name of the book.
Here is the title, One of Us Did It.
But that's not true because there's more than one murderer here.
I don't know. We were going back and forth on that, Sharon.
Oh,
There might only be one. It might only be Jeffrey.
How about Death on a Snowy Night?
Oh, that sounds good. I like that.
Somebody suggested
So
in the chat.
they're dancing outside in the snow and he goes over the side.
Well,
Somebody
okay.
suggested An Axe to Grind, which
yes.
it's
Yes,
pretty good.
Not bad.
Oh, yeah, you're good, Jolene. I'm going to consult you.
That's very good, Jolene. Well,
It wasn't my idea. I would like to take credit for it, but it was
somebody said
one of
an axe to grind. Yes, I see it.
Axe to grind. Yeah, somebody wrote it in here.
Yeah, somebody said An Axe to Grind as
Who
a
is
title.
that? Oh,
Who's your student? Your student.
that was my former student. An axe to grind. I love it. Good work.
I love it too. I think it's a great title.
Well, I was trying to think, how can we work axe into the title? I love that. And it is true because you've got these people who have grudges and are angry with each other, jealous and angry and resentful.
Oh yeah, I think that the
Always
title is
do.
fitting. Yeah, it's clever.
Yeah. So do you want me to just try to sum up now what the story is, and then we can ask people, what they think, what they would like to add, any questions they'd like to ask us. Shall we try to put it together?
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to say, first of all, we have a Hudson River mansion. And is this 2021?
I think we went back 20 years just so we can make it.
Okay, 2020, 2000, 2000. I'm not doing too well. Hudson River Mansion 2000, the home of the wealthy heiress Cleo Jameson.
Yeah.
Jameson. Okay. She throws a masquerade. People are there for the weekend, but she throws it because I think that works well, because then you can have them arriving on Friday, say, and establishing their characters and throwing out little hints about who hates whom and why, or we think they don't get along, but they do, or we think they do get along, but they don't. So, maybe we get that first day where they all kind of break in and introduce Cassandra and her interesting background, but we know, do we know what she really is up to from the start?
Yeah, I think it will make sense if we do know the
Okay.
main character and what she's there for.
Yeah.
So she's presenting herself as a student of what's his puss, Hans Bergstrom, but she really is. She's FBI. Did you say?
Yeah, FBI
And
counterintelligence.
Okay.
Yeah, counterintelligence.
And Elliot is her aide,
Or partner, yeah.
a partner,
Aid.
but he's presented as a student as well, or is he just presented like as her boyfriend or something?
It could be, either way.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Before he starts having his mad affair with
With
Kate.
Elliot.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. He's gonna have a fling with. Well, the two of them could have, Elliot and Cassandra could have some chuckles over what people think they're interested in and whom they're really interested in. So that little humor always
Okay.
is the wheels. Okay, so we have then the what's her name? Ermentrude is the housekeeper, but she's the spy in retirement.
Right.
And Hans shows up and recognizes her and threatens to out her if she doesn't turn over the axe to, or help him get the axe. Is that, so to speak?
Right.
Is that okay? What was that?
That was my computer.
Oh, good. I thought Elliot or somebody or Hans might be spying on us. Ermentrude. Okay, so, and he wants the axe to return it to Russia.
Right.
Right.
And she just wants to be left alone.
Yes. I want to be alone.
So she doesn't trust him, or she just figures if he even if he says I'm not, even if she helps him and he promises not to out her or turn her over to the other Russians that he might know, she doesn't believe that. She figures I've got to kill him and kill knowledge of who I am.
But they're locked in a Russian roulette kind of.
Yeah.
Who's gonna kill who first?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that sounds
Jeffrey
good. I like
Jeffrey
that.
steps in and takes care of it. Right.
Yeah.
But then we have a third person jump in and kills Hans before Ermentrude could kill him.
And that's Jeffrey, correct?
And that's Jeffrey.
Yeah. Okay, Jeffrey wants to marry
Cleo.
for her money,
Yes.
and he's jealous of his rival, but his perceived rival, Hans. But he doesn't realize that Hans hasn't the least interest in Cleo at all. He just wants the axe. Okay. So at the ball, actually, what did we decide? He gets a poisoned mask.
He gets a poison mask.
Poison mask.
Hans gets the poison mask.
Jeffrey is the one who is handing out the masks.
Okay.
And maybe Cassandra would pick up the poison mask first, and then Jeffrey will come and be like, no, 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 you get this masks, and kind of steers me in a different direction. So we kind of, Cassandra will have a clue maybe who killed Hans, or we're starting to spread the crumbs.
And maybe Jeffrey really got the poison from Ermentrude. Maybe he knows her from the past and is blackmailing her too.
No, then yeah.
Well, you
Because
know what? Okay,
Maybe that would work.
this is where we kind of hit a snag. Because if Jeffrey was handing out poison masks or a poison mask, he was handing out the mask, people are going to think immediately, well, he's in charge of the mask. He could be the one who did it. I mean, he could protest. Well, I don't know. You know, I just.
Well, the problem with the Novichok
Yeah.
is that it comes with many different symptoms. So you wouldn't it's odorless. So it
Mhm.
doesn't have anyway, unless you go into like a high level hospital and they do
Yeah.
chemical tests on you, you know, it will probably appear that he died of a heart attack. And given his age, then I think it's all right that people would want.
So it takes him a long time to find out that he was poisoned.
It was
On the other
poison.
hand, but you need something. I think that
Yeah.
I think you can go into convulsions pretty fast, and you need something that acts on contact as opposed to something that you imbibe if it's going to be in the mask. And I'm not a poison expert. I know Novichok you can get through the skin, poison through the skin, right? Just touching.
Maybe at first they concentrate on what he was drinking and who gave him drinks.
Oh, that's a really interesting point. Because that's kind of what you would expect. Is he still falling off the cliff?
Well, he's also going to have to. They're going to have to. If Jeffrey's going to have to dispose of the mask
Yeah.
because he doesn't want anyone else to test the mask, whatever poison is on it.
Well, I guess we could say his mask disappears somehow. They find it just maybe he had his mask on and then his mask somehow disappears. So that's where they start thinking. Cassandra perhaps says, well, you know, yeah, I guess he could have been poisoned, but what's this about the mask? Why would the mask disappear? She's the one who starts asking questions about that.
But what if Hans dances with Cassandra at the party and he almost whispers Ermentrude because he thinks Ermentrude is killing him for having made her as an FSB agent, but Cassandra doesn't know that Ermentrude is an agent. She's only there for Hans. And when she goes to interview Ermentrude, she's killed by whoever kills Ermentrude.
Wait a minute, who's killed? You killing Cassandra?
No, Cassandra will go to interview Ermentrude because she thinks it's the killer has killed Hans, but before Cassandra gets to Ermentrude, she finds her dead.
She finds her dead. So
dead with the axe. I think that's what we said. That's
okay.
Right.
But the axe disappears.
That's right. I had forgotten that. So Hans had murmured Ermentrude to Cassandra.
Yeah. So we have a lead at least.
Yeah.
Since we can't use the poison yet, we don't know how he died.
Yeah.
Then we need a showdown between Jeffrey and Cassandra where he tries to kill her with the axe, and then maybe Elliot and Basil rush in and save her.
Yeah, I mean, if we continue to, if we keep her as blind, maybe Jeffrey could easily manipulate her into following him to whatever. And Elliot is distracted because he has in a romantic relationship with another character. We said
Who's Jeffrey? Is he involved with Jeff? No. Who's
No,
Elliot?
Basil.
Elliot and Basil.
Basil. Okay. Okay. I see. This is now we empathize with our readers because sometimes they can't keep track of our characters.
Wait, we've got a comment here.
Okay.
No.
Tony, it's very bad luck to kill dogs and cats in the story. Or
Yeah,
horses.
I was gonna
Not
say,
allowed, not allowed.
People are okay, but
you never kill an animal in a book, in a
People.
even in a thriller. You can kill any kind of humans, but no dogs, no cats, no horses.
So the trail first leads to Ermentrude, but then she's killed.
right.
And then Jeffrey works with Cassandra to find out who
Yeah.
done it, and they expose the Basil Elliot getting together thing, but it turns out that's just romantic. But Jeffrey it convinces her that somehow they've got the axe or something and takes her somewhere that he's gonna kill her with the axe. But she has to save herself. Or
Yeah,
he-
I like
or
the
he's
thought of
killing
her.
somebody else.
Yeah, I like the thought of her. Well, I know there's the old. I hate to do an old canard where Audrey Hepburn puts all the lights out and then they're equal. But some way, so she's blind, but he can't see either.
Oh,
But
good point, good point. It's gotta work in the
I
blindness.
thought the snowstorm knocks all the power out.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, that's good. They're stuck in a storm and the power
Yeah.
goes up. That's good.
yes, Ermentrude is trained assassin being an FSB agent. I think somebody put that in the comment.
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
Well, have we?
You can see that these books have to be rewritten several times before they.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Have we pulled it together so we can open up things up for discussion now? Do you think?
What happens to Cleo Jameson at the end, and what happens to the axe?
She is drinking whiskey and says, "What a terrible party." Now I need to find a new maid.
Um,
And she throws the
Out of my
axe in the
sight.
Hudson.
Oh, aren't they supposed to be rescuing the axe? Because the Russians.
I would think that Cleo and Eliza are drinking together, and that's the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
I like it. I like it.
Because Eliza's husband has gone off with Elliot.
Yeah. And we could have it that she and her husband were not, they really didn't like each other that much, or
Yeah, I mean,
He
she
wanted
could
to
have
get
had
one
an
out.
affair with Jeffrey that he was keeping quiet because he really wanted to get Cleo's money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you could even along the way have Eliza bumped off because she's going to wait a minute. Jeffrey wants her dead because she's going to tell Cleo that
That
he's
they had an
having an
affair.
affair with her.
Yep, that could be another body to drop at the end.
Yeah.
Go.
It could be
Depending on
a
how
little bit of a
many words you have.
distraction because it's not the same motive.
I always need another body.
Yeah. You get 3 bodies.
But you gotta build the suspense.
That's not a very high body count, really.
No. Really depends on the type of book.
But I do think we're out of Agatha Christie territory, though.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
But that's good. It's good.
I think we got it down. So how about we open it up now for people to ask questions or, Chris, do you want to open it up for people to?
You want?
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to just have everybody just unmute themselves and come up and just,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, so everybody go ahead and start your videos, unmute yourselves.
Higher up.
There's a question. Do any of you do this when you are writing?
No,
Oh, yeah.
not exactly. No.
Why don't you get somebody else to bat it around with? Oh, yeah.
I actually, sometimes I do it in my head. I do it to myself. but also I will, get bat it off my husband's head, so to speak. And I have other friends I talk to and say, does this work? Or, even if sometimes I've written something and I think I've worked it out, but I ask, some of my friends to say what works and what doesn't. And sometimes they say, no, you did it fine. But other times they come up with stuff I hadn't thought of, and it's really back to the drawing board.
So I don't know if anyone has read Agatha Christie's notebooks, because like her grand nephew or something put them out, and they actually are sort of like this. She'll have lists of characters and stuff, and she'll have notes about it could have been this one or it could have been that one. So she obviously thought that way when she was planning her stuff.
Yeah.
Well, when you write, because I'm writing a thriller, usually it's a little different because I know from the beginning who the bad guy is, and I'm just building suspense about to get to, who's going to get killed and whether the bad guy is going to be stopped in time.
Yeah.
And
Jolene?
then this point of view, would this be this probably would be a multiple point of view that we're probably jumping around.
I write multiple point of views. I don't write a single point of view because
I write a first person point of view.
For example, in my first novel, where my spy is betrayed by his own agency, you, the reader, know he's about to walk into an ambush, and he doesn't know it. While he doesn't know it, he's getting engaged, and he's and you see him getting engaged, and he's sort of excited about his new life, and you the reader know this guy could be dead in the next day.
I usually do it from one point of view. However, sometimes I might have it, if I have two main characters, I may switch a little bit. I want to keep the focus on about what one or two particular people really know. But I definitely see what Sandy's doing, and that makes perfect sense. I think it depends on, what you're writing.
Yeah, what the story. How about you, Jolene? How are yours?
So I don't voice or I don't talk to myself or do anything like that. What I usually do is just I sit down and write the story the way I see it in my head, and sometimes it makes sense. And then when I do revisions and first draft, second draft, then I go and move things around. But I have a journalism background, so the way I approach a story is I invite my characters to come in and tell me their story, and I pretty much view myself as a transcriber. And then I start drafting, start editing the manuscript.
And so you have characters, so you have multiple points of views. Each character has something that's.
I started writing from multiple point of views, but I didn't like it as much. I really wanted to spend a lot of time with just my main characters and the anti-hero and kind of focus on them. And my other characters are obviously just to build the story and whatnot. And I found that it gives me a lot of freedom to just sharpen those characters, and it helps my story move.
Good point.
So for those of you who are plotters and for those of you who are pantsers, how easy or difficult is an exercise like this?
If you don't mind, I'll start off. When I was starting to write, I hated plotting. I thought I felt like my imagination was jailed just because I needed to plot every single thing. And I would just freestyle, just sit down and write. And then after you write a couple of books like that, and then you edit it makes the editing process much more complicated. And so now I found the beauty in being in between. For instance, I don't enjoy writing fighting scenes or car chases or anything like that. But if I give myself enough time to plot and research, then I've discovered that the writing process itself and the imagining, the creative process flows much better. And so I am in the middle. I plot some and then I freestyle some.
So would you consider this sort of an in-between thing between being a plotter and a pantser because it's, you know, it's kind of off the cuff and you're doing it, but at the same time, Sharon, you're writing everything down. You said you have arrows and everything, so it's kind of plotting out what's happening. So it's kind of the combination of the two.
Yeah.
I was going to say, this exercise is kind of like what goes on in my head when I'm writing. So it's as if I have Frances and Sandy and Jolene in there, you know, when I say, okay, start thinking, what do I want to say? What do I want to happen? And all these other voices are saying, well, if you do X, then Y is going to happen. So you can't go there. Or if you want to get from here to here, all this other stuff comes in between. So how do you answer all the questions or all the roadblocks that are in between? So, which is kind of, you know, what we were all doing. So for me, it's not that hard, except, you know, when I'm writing, I get the final say about what everything is, whereas this is much more cooperative.
When I'm writing, because I'm doing historicals, a lot of times I'm looking for a good historical background piece to be in the background. And then my characters, what would they be feeling about at that time? And a lot of times it's place, because like you can go to Hull House now and look at it. You could go at the town of Pullman. So you get sort of a feel for that. So I'll pick an era. I'll start with my characters feeling about it, and then I'll stop and plot it forward, because I can only go so far without figuring what it's going to do.
Well, I'm sort of also in the in between range where I do a plot. I write out an outline, but then as I'm working, I don't do all. I work through a scene, and it just occurred there'll be a logical next scene regardless of what I already wrote, and so my outlines constantly being revised because the plot, it really is sort of like the story starts taking a life of its own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's
Now, when you're developing the characters that have come up, as we're doing this exercise, did you start forming a vision of what they would look like and how you would, what they would be wearing, what their hair colors, eye color, things like that? Do you do specifics in your book, specific features, or you just kind of give it a vague general appearance in your book and let the reader kind of develop the look in their minds?
I describe a person, but I think what they say and do shows more what they are than so the description is sort of it's really a little sketch of the person. And a lot of times when they move a book to a movie, they cast somebody who doesn't look the same, but yet they might have like Vera is really a big tall woman, and the woman who plays her in the TV thing is smaller. So not so much on what they look like, but more what they say and how they act.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go this way. Each one of you, if you wouldn't mind, give me an idea of what you had in mind for what Ermentrude looked like.
But which one? Ermentrude?
Was it Ermentrude? Yeah. So what as you're going through this, Frances, what did you picture in your mind as Ermentrude looking like?
Right, and I actually will sit down and think about someone and write a backstory for them before they're in the story to some extent. I guess I would look at her for around early 60s. And, you know, I'm thinking of her wearing an apron. I don't know if she really would, and sort of clunky shoes, and being sort of sharp nosed like a little terrier into everybody's business. So that's sort of what I think of her.
Jolene?
Yeah, so I see her as a shorter woman, but really strong. She's been trained by the FSB, so she still has that physique that she can take on any guy. For some reason, I see her with bad teeth, like not something that when she smiles, you're like, oh. She is also not attractive, because Cleo is a woman who can't stand women who are more attractive than her, so she can employ somebody who's prettier than Cleo. That's how I see her.
Sandra?
I mean, I didn't have a really good picture of her because this is sort of like, it's sort of like a fun exercise, but I was thinking of someone like Mrs. Danvers.
Judith Anderson.
Um, but I didn't have a strong image of her, I'll be honest.
Sharon?
Is it an interesting question in the chat?
Oh, should I go? I saw her 50s, dark hair, kind of short, maybe curly, strong. I saw her as a big woman, sort of tight-lipped, not smiling a lot, very professional, in charge, but not particularly friendly. But it's one thing that's sort of hard to do with this that's different. I think all of us might find this in our writing is that when I write a book, I have characters there for specific reasons. They have roles that they play specific roles and they interact with characters in a specific way, which is why I really like what Jolene said about how she perceived Ermentrude in terms of also Cleo. But so it's hard for me to envision somebody else's character. I know what I'm going to do with my story and I know who has to do what in it. So for me to really envision the character, I have to have, it has to be more me in control of my story. So that's what's a little different for me.
How long does it typically take you to research items in your or different things in your book, such as the weapons, such as the settings? What type of research do you do? Where do you go to find what you're looking for? What platforms?
Well,
So-
sometimes, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jolene.
Are you sure? I was gonna say I have found that reference guides of any kind are very helpful. My husband is also a cop, so sometimes I would go to him and ask him what he thinks if a person could be killed a certain way. Not that he sees a lot of dead bodies, but they keep training him all the time, so he has more knowledge than I would, or the internet, or at least will point me in a direction where I can find if I want to be very specific. So I like research, so I will go to workshops or conferences, and I will sign up for the forensic classes, because I do think that's the way forward with investigative work anyways. We do need to rely a lot on physical evidence, and I do try when I write to be somewhat realistic in the way I want my plot to move. I hope that answered the question.
Well, I do historical, so I look at newspapers from the time, memoirs from the time, and then if there's something in particular I'm looking at, like the one that is about the pandemic, I have the actual report that was written about the Spanish flu in Chicago, and I actually got a character from that that's going to be in the book. I might hone in on a particular book about something, look at original sources, and lots of pictures on the internet. I use Pinterest to put up pictures for each of my books.
A lot of I'm also doing historical stuff like Francis, and a lot of my stuff, I love the 40s, I love World War II, I love that era, and so part of it I knew already, so it was something that's been part of my life that I'm always reading about. But also, I would go and like Francis, read newspapers from that era. I would sit down and on microfiche and read the New York Times for, like 3 weeks in 1947. And then I'd see, not just what was in the news, but what people were eating, how much things cost, where you'd go to the movies, just typical of the life at that time. Also, I would talk to, my parents lived in that time. So I spent a lot of time talking to them. I pull stuff out of old films that I see. And then sometimes, I'm researching on the fly. I realize somebody has to have a particular type of gun. So I was looking at, I had a character who was an SOE agent, and he's not doing that now because it's 1947, but he has a gun that he used when he was an agent. And I was trying to figure, well, what kind of pistol would they use? And what I found was really interesting that a Colt, he very likely would have a Colt, which struck me strange because, that's an American gun. Why would a British guy have an American gun? But apparently during Lend-Lease, we didn't just send them ships and bombs and, mortars. We also sent them pistols. So that would be something that he would have. So it was just a little piece that fit in, but it gives a little verisimilitude. And then one other thing that I really enjoyed, I'm a horse racing fanatic, and I've gotten out of the habit for a while because I just don't know the horses that well anymore. But I do know a lot about racing in the 40s, especially. And part of the story I wrote now, Always Play the Dark Horse, takes place at Rockingham Park in New Hampshire, and refers to the New England circuit. So I did know something to begin with, but I went and I just Googled, I went to websites and I found 2 books on racing, one about Rockingham Park and one about racing in New England. And it was a fun read that I would have loved to do anyway, but it was perfect for helping me with my book. So research comes in, it's hard to say. You said, how long does it take? I'm willing to bet, like me, people are still doing research even as they're typing. All of a sudden they say, well, what kind of gun would this person use? Oh, okay, let's go to Google. Or what was it? Was there a full moon on the night of January 24th, 1947? Let's go on Google and find out. And it's amazing what you can find. So that's my answer.
So I have, it's kind of a complicated answer. I have general background research because I was not a CIA agent. And I have shelf loads of books on espionage, on Russia, on the FBI. And so those are general background that I've read, and I keep them for general looking at, just to keep my hand in. But then I have the specifics of each book. For example, my first book took place in Romania and involved a descendant of Vlad the Impaler. So I had to learn something about Romanian history and about Eastern European history. But I was just going to say my most interesting research for that book, though, by the way, was I wrote there's a gunfight in the scene in that book, and I was taking basically I wrote it from what I'd seen on television, and I thought, wait a minute, I don't know if that's actually how it would work. So I went and took a 3-day class on shooting and learned to actually, no, that isn't how it would work, and rewrote the scene. But I also try to, when it's possible, I'd like to go to a place and drive around it. There's a really cool street here in Vermont where it's one side of the street is Vermont, the other side of the street is Canada. And I place a scene there, and I went up there and drove back and down and I pulled off and talked to the border guards, and what happens if somebody crosses the street. And I really liked the hands-on, how much time, I don't know. It's because it's all the whole thing is interwoven. I would say it takes me from 6 months to a year from idea for a novel to finished novel.
Yeah.
Joan Bowers, you have a question. Why don't you go ahead and ask it?
Well, I was just curious if anyone played around with different timelines. I've been rather intrigued with how many people anymore. I'm thinking Ruth Ware and what's her name, Candlish from England, do this thing about having maybe one timeline going through the novel. It takes place right now in the present, maybe even in just one day, and then months in the past and going through a different time scale. I'm just wondering if anybody's playing around with different timelines.
I can say for my books that I stay in the same line. I think sometimes it's rather challenging when you crisscross like that. It's easy to make easy mistakes that you overlook, and your editors might not necessarily catch them. I think you do have to have a certain, to be a certain, not level, but minds work differently, and my mind wouldn't work that way. Like I would get confused if I was reading a book like that, and that's why I wouldn't attempt to write a book like that. But the book that I'm currently writing, my main character is investigating a murder that's also connected to a murder that happened 20 years ago. So there is a hint of crisscrossing timeline, but not something what Ruth Ware does in her books, and she's very good at that.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I will have flashbacks where people are remembering, or you're seeing a scene from something in the person's past, rather than the person simply talking about it here in the present, where it's more interesting, but it's not a separate timeline. I would actually find that confusing.
I tried sort of framing it the way Laurie King did with the Beekeeper's Apprentice thing, that, you're getting a message from the back, but my editor and my beta readers didn't like it. They just want to
Okay.
What are you gonna do? That's great.
Thanks.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
Yeah.
I think Pamela asked the question
Had
before
one.
that about the storylines.
Yes.
You're redundant.
Let me jump in the chat real quick.
Yeah.
And hi, I'm Pam.
Yeah,
I'm from
Pam.
Newcastle, Delaware. I work at a library locally.
Oh, wonderful.
We
You don't
love
have to put it in the chat. You can just go ahead and ask.
Okay. How do you come up with a new idea for a novel, something that's not been done before that people would want to read or buy? It seems like some storylines are just repetitive or redundant from ones that you read, and you don't want to read the same thing over and over. So how do you come up with something fresh?
I think that's a fair question. A long time ago, I read an interview with an author. I don't remember who said it anymore, but they said, don't worry about the storyline. Everything has already been written. Just write the book you want to read. And it kind of stuck with me. And that's why I'm not worried about the storyline. I genuinely, when I sit down to write and it's just me and my Word document, I'm writing for an audience of one. And then after, in the editing process, I try to broaden my writing for others. But yeah, it's just try to entertain yourself, because writing could be a very lonely job.
And I think even if you are, inspired by other stories, you can give it your own twist. You can take it in a different direction. Or you can, maybe perhaps have a similar story, but what if the characters did something different? What if they weren't what were in, the original? I mean, I think I am very much inspired by old films, but I don't really copy them, but I do kind of sometimes do an homage to them. But I feel, I like to take it in my own direction. So I think, it's kind of like, writing a sonnet. You only have 14 lines and you've got a tough rhythm and you've got a tough rhyme scheme. But if you're creative, you could come up with something that transforms it. So that's, I think, what works too.
What I've heard most writers say is you have to find something that you care about, that the author are passionate about, and that will come through to your writers. So you have to look around for that. You collect a bunch of ideas and then you go back and say which one would make a story.
Yeah, for me, it's also what makes a story, me want to read a story, is whether I'm interested in the characters and want to know what happens to the characters. You can have the best plot in the world, if you don't care one way or the other, it's not going to draw the people in. And if it's how you deal with what situation, a character that you actually are interested in, and you want to know, all right, what do they do next? What are their relationships like? and that's what makes, I mean, that what makes us all unique. We have slightly, there's a lot about all of us that's the same, but it's who we are as individuals that makes us interesting. And same with books, I think.
So we got
Thank
a minute
you.
left. Thank you for the question. We got about a minute left, so really quick, just want to go through and just give me 2 or 3 of your biggest influences on your writing. Sandra? Let me put it this way. What authors have you read that are the biggest influences on your writing?
Laurie King, The Beekeeper's Apprentice, Stephen Saylor with his Rome ones. Those are probably the biggest ones that got me going. I read tons of other ones too, believe me.
I think actually some of the writings of people from the 40s, like George Harmon Cox and Margaret Millar and Craig Rice, for the kind of mystery and suspense and humor and sort of a look on the dark side. But I have to say also, not just books, film. I'm very much influenced by films by genre.Our and Fritz Lang and, other, I can't think of who did Murder My Sweet, but, other noir type of work, especially I love that sort of dark, dreamy side, but also with that twinge of humor. So I would say actually film as much as books influenced me.
I would say John le Carre, and I would also say maybe Daniel Silva.
Mm-hmm.
I will say Alyssa Gardner, James Patterson, and Joseph Cannon are the top 3 for me.
All right. Well, I would like to thank everybody who joined us, both here and on Facebook Live, but special thanks to Sandra, Jolene, Francis, and Sharon for putting this panel together. Of course, Leslie Wheeler also helped put this whole thing together. And go to your local bookstore, ask for them. You can give us a call too. We do have Sharon's books in store, but we'll have the other ones soon, but we can order anything. Again, bookshop.org. Bookshop.org is another great place to, they support local bookstores through a profit sharing program that they have. So use them or your local bookshop or go directly to the authors here. So everybody, thank you very much for participating.
Thanks a lot, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you all, the audience.
Thank you
Bye.
for having us.
Take care. Take care.